Good morning. I'm glad to be with you again on the occasion of International Translation Day to highlight once more the important role that translation plays in an inclusive, diverse, and multilingual world. Now, my name is Alison Rodriguez, and I am the president of FIT, the International Federation of Translators, and I hope you know who we are, but just in case you don't, we are the Global Federation of Associations of Translators, Interpreters, and Terminologists. And today, I would like to talk to you under the auspices of our International Translation Day theme for 2023, Translation Unveils the Many Faces of Humanity, in praise of human agency. The scholar J.D. Niles felt that, as a species, we should be known as Homo narrans rather than Homo sapiens because of our deep need to narrate our stories, to use them to create our realities. Stories are the essence of our humanity, of our human imagination and expression. For millennia, we have lived, shared, communicated with, and our societies have actually revolved around our stories. The translator's role is to unlock and amplify the world's stories. Translation also helps to preserve cultural identity, Indigenous language survival, and promote cross-cultural understanding. By making literature and other cultural works accessible, translation helps to create a more interconnected and diverse world where humans can appreciate and learn from each other's cultures. So our profession is important in preserving the past, but also in shaping the future, because the future is human-led, just as the last 200,000 years have been. Now, just because our preferred methods of communication may have changed, doesn't mean that we intrinsically have. These changes have been very recent in our history and happened very fast. So it's just possible that we haven't quite evolved to keep up just yet, which may be why we can't quite get our heads around what's going on with the new technology. These days, we're talking to our devices as much as we're talking to each other. And I'm not going to be oversimplistic and say that technology is bad, because obviously the reality is much more nuanced than that. But technology isn't inherently bad. In fact, it's quite useful, but it might be bad for us, especially if we don't understand it or use it well. Technology comes with risks, but it has no warning label. Many are signing up to the idea of artificial intelligence as inherently good and that its use is going to be inevitable. And they're happy to relinquish control for the benefits. And that's where our human agency comes in. It's in our hands to make decisions about the future, about what kind of world we want to build and live in, and what place humans and machines will occupy in that world. Are machines just a human substitute? As I said, we're talking to our devices these days as if they are human. Now, the anthropomorphism of technology has its roots back as far as Leonardo da Vinci and in the automata that go back as far as ancient Greece. Here you can see a robot designed in 1495 looking very much like a person. And the fact that our machines now also sound like us is celebrated. And the idea of having a relationship with artificial intelligence sounded quite frankly bizarre in 2013 when this movie came out. But now people really are having romantic relationships and forming attachments with chatbots. The language of artificial intelligence pretends to be human, simulating emotion by using I and we as if they were like us. But AI is not sentient, and its awareness and feelings are simply simulated. Of course, it has no feelings, and it's simply statistics at scale. And we shouldn't let the language that it uses mask that. The very human skills and knowledge that have served us well for millennia and will serve us well into the future, such as logics, ethics, philosophy, empathy, and creative thinking, and in the case of translation and language specifically, analysis, context, fluency, and style, may be present in artificial intelligence, but not quite like they are in human intelligence. You might be led to believe that they are by the language that they use. We even talk about artificial intelligence in terms of the physiology of our own brains, neural pathways and networks, etc., as if it has a brain. Now, artificial intelligence output often highlights the difference between being good at language and being good at thought, because communication via language is separate from the act of thinking. The human brain processes each in a different part of the brain. Now, speaking is not the same as thinking, which is why, as Matteo Wong so eloquently put it in the Atlantic magazine, AI programs excel at writing grammatically superb nonsense. It's as if artificial intelligence only has one part of the brain and not the other. If the language sounds human, we will believe it to be reliable because humans use language to communicate thought. Now, there are examples of people being misled by chatbot advice because it sounds authoritative. Deepfakes are a form of exploitation and appropriation. This use of first-person pronouns and seemingly human expression may lead people to be financially or emotionally defrauded by thinking that the algorithm is another person. We need not outsource our essential humanity using machines as a substitute for people. They're not the same, and moves to label artificial intelligence in order to distinguish it from humans are underway. Language is a good place for that to start. There's been calls to ban the use of first-person pronouns in chatbots, which would be a distinct marker between what is human and what is not. We can use artificial intelligence to do so much for us, but what good is it if we don't use artificial intelligence to solve the problems that humans care about? Will bots fundamentally care about the people that they interpret for? And is that something that's important to us? Because we know that often, and perhaps without fully understanding or considering the consequences, immigration officials will, under pressure, use machine translation. Now, there's a lot of subtext in interviews with traumatized individuals. The silences, the nonverbal language, can mean as much as the words that can't be uttered. And how will AI navigate that successfully? Without access to the knowledge that is not digitized, we could end up in a feedback loop that amplifies exclusion, especially of traditional knowledge and Indigenous languages. It makes what is digitized all the more important. Now, last year, I mentioned the Indigenous language radio station in New Zealand that is fighting to keep control of its data, knowing that the digital store that it has is an essential and valuable property. Here again, the problem is not the technology itself. The technology has given them access to huge language data and knowledge, and they're fighting to protect it from ring fencing or appropriation. Sustainability helps to push back against the idea that the future is what happens to us and not what we create. The Sustainable Development Goals are a blueprint for human agency. And these two words are the most crucial in our project for the future of the profession: human agency. We cannot forget our human condition, our humanity, and we cannot renounce our agency to technology or big tech firms. It feels as if in today's world, technology and efficiency and possibly money are all that matters. But what about what is good and what is right? What about the people? Culture and communication are about all that enriches human life and not just about efficiency or increasing GDP. Because building a sustainable, inclusive, and human-led future requires us to exercise agency, to know ourselves and not be distracted or deceived by technology as a mirror image of humanity, and to have access to all the narratives of humanity in all its facets that are revealed to us through the translation of our stories. Thank you.